Welcome to the Rally Cruise podcast where we dig deep to reach high. And of course, always progress through action. I am your co host, Payron Baxter.
And I'm your co-host, Ram Sandoval. How y'all doing?
Welcome, everybody. Well, it's been a little while since we got together, but we had to get together at the end of this week or the beginning of this week. I think the weekend is the end. But yeah, man, a lot of big news. But before we get into that, how have you been doing, my friend?
Uh, I was doing good until a couple hours ago.
Yeah, we'll
uh,
get to that.
but
We'll get to that. But
ha-
how have you
had a
been?
had a pretty good week. Yesterday went to a comedy show with the wife. Went to see Kevin on stage. Great show. Um, the Bald Brothers over at what's it called, Bojangles.
Yeah.
And Tony Baker's from Chicago.
Oh, yeah,
So
Chicago. Yeah.
yeah, we actually saw them in Chicago about 2 or 3 years ago. So big fans. Had a
Hmm.
good time, had a good laugh. Working on the new biz. Had my business partners in town for the weekend. So really good stuff. Like I said, up until a couple hours ago. How about you?
Yeah, it was good. I think the momentum from the week was uh refreshing. It was a reminder of what it's like to, because I think sometimes we get so bogged down. I'm talking about the election results, folks. I might as well jump into it. I had a good week, but I might as well jump into it for time's sake. Um, the election results from this past week and not just New York, right? Of course, and I was a big Zoran Mamdani fan on this show, saying that is where the Democratic Party needs to go. But across the country, we had Mikey Sherrill win governorships. We had Abigail Spanberger. We had Prop 50 that passed. We had two council seats in a ruby red area in Georgia flip. We had two areas in two commissioner seats or there was excuse me, like land use boards positions in Mississippi flip, which is one white man, one black woman flip. And this is, I think it's a reckoning of we forgot what it's like to vote for something.
Mhm.
And moreover, I think that win ultimately came from Zoran Mamdani of what it means to stand for something. He didn't win because he was running from issues. I think he won because he had conviction and
Mhm.
dedication, and he stood 10 toes down on affordability. And every time he was attacked on some racist, Islamophobic, xenophobic, racist nonsense, he would always pivot that back to how he wants to serve New Yorkers. I mean, as Toni
Mhm.
Morrison told us, the very real point of racism is to be distracted. And that brother showed us how to not be distracted, right? Kwame Mamdani, named after Kwame Nkrumah from Uganda, after they got free from the British, right? Like what it means to be free, what it means to stand up, what it means to stand 10 toes down. That's something that I don't think that the Democratic Party is ready for. And yeah, I thought that win really, really helped reinvigorate me in this political posture. That, like, again, we know we're right when we're talking about progressive things. As progressive things move the country forward, hence progress. So I was very, very elated with that. And I'm a big Mamdani stan. He's just out in Puerto Rico because we know New York City has the highest Puerto Rican uh, 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 citizenship, if you will. I think there's 666,000 Puerto Ricans in New York City, so he was there. Someone commented that they were like, "Oh, didn't he say he wasn't going to go to Israel? He was going to go to a foreign country again." Fool! Put your listening ears on, put your thinking cap on. That is also America. So he was down there talking about how he's going to again tackle affordability and the fight against oppression. So yeah, very excited about that. And and if you want to see how the Democrats can blow a good opportunity, we're going to get into that later. But it was a very, very refreshing week. What were your thoughts about the outcomes of the election?
Yeah, it was a very refreshing week. I was campaigning. I was running for mayor for
That's right.
Spalding
Oh, I'm so
last
sorry,
Thursday.
Rom.
So
Yes, guys, Rom was also running and did a great job. I'm so sorry, Rom.
yeah, no, it's all good. I think it was about 21% were write-ins against the mayor. 13% went to me, which is it was a 1 week campaign. Just kind of threw it in there, but a lot of valuable experience and learning opportunities based off how the elections went. I think if I actually ran put my name on the ballot back in July, I mean the way the elections went was very viable. I'm gonna have a little bit to say about that later in the episode, but yeah, I mean, if I woke up Wednesday and I just remember how I was feeling, and I was thinking about how I was feeling November 5th last year, that Wednesday, and um, there was no like optimism at all last year. Um, I knew it was over at 7:30 the night before or whatever. Very early on, 8:30, kind of just left the party and was very real about what we were going to go through. Had a realization of what we were about to go through, and in the month that followed, just kind of not myself and feeling down. But this week, I mean, not only did these people win, but we saw the margins that we talked about. Um, Back in like probably when we first started doing this podcast, we were saying we can't fight over these like small 2%. We can't have these 2% wins. It's just not going to be enough because we have to overcome the rigging that's coming down, or the disenfranchisements, whether it be gerrymandering, whether it be who knows, rigging the voting systems, which now Dominion has been bought out by some company called the Liberty something. It's a Republican. It's very partisan. North Carolina had the elections were overseen by the help me out here. Was it the governor or the
Yeah, the oh my goodness,
anyway? The Republicans won the state.
the auditor. They put it under the auditor. The point being, there was massive
So,
crackdown
anyways,
yes,
so now that there's a Republican, so now there was a lawyer that just left this week because he felt in North Carolina he felt it was becoming too partisan, and so that's all of these things add up, right? So we said we have to be going after these large margins, 10%. If you look at the results in all these big elections, whether it was New York, whether it was Virginia, all of them, they were just like these 10% margins across the board, and it's like that is the type of margins that are going to be needed to overcome everything that's coming down. So it's very encouraging. I felt very good this week, and energized. I felt like people were going out and doing what they needed to do, right, in terms of the voting.
But
And
I think, but almost like clockwork, the question became: if you watch, like, I don't watch mainstream TV, but if you watch, the question became: is Zoran Mamdani the face of the Democratic Party? Is Zoran Mamdani the face of the new Democratic Party? And you could just see these old school Democrats twist themselves into pretzels to be like, no, and really this and that. And these are people who are actually going to be his constituents, like a Chuck Schumer or a Hakeem Jeffries. But let me ask you, there was a lot of money put up against Zoran Mamdani. I'm going to use him because I think he is the bright spot of this moment. I'm no shade to anybody else, but I do have my picadillos with some of these people. But I'm going to talk about the positive, right? Someone who is of a marginalized group in this country, someone who is otherized, someone who has, and I dare I say, a mandate for how to lead within New York City. But there's a lot of big money put behind him, right? There's almost $22 million, close to 25, a quarter, $25 million put against him.
mhm.
Through the Bill Ackmans, through the Elon Musk, and then he had endorsements through. And what does it say about the establishment Democratic Party? Because the establishment Democratic Party either explicitly or implicitly supported Andrew Cuomo. So you get who was not the Democratic nominee, so you get Bill Clinton endorsing Andrew Cuomo. But then at the same time, you get Elon Musk and Stephen Miller endorsing Andrew Cuomo. So, like, what does that mean? I think it's kind of like the old school has, as we said, as George Carlin said, it's a big club and you're just not in it. It's these people who I think people are getting tired of these, my friends across the aisle bullshit. And Zoran Mamdani stood in like, no, I'm going to fight for all people, all people. And this whole, pitting against each other with the anti-Semitism bullshit that he's like, look, I'm not an anti-Semite. I'm talking about the government of Israel committing a genocide. I will support and protect my Jewish brothers and sisters here in New York City within my capacity and make sure that they are not harmed or experiencing any sort of hate. And that is like refreshing because it's like, damn, he's not doing this, poll tested. Well, I don't know. And it's like, yeah, we're going to do this. And if he can't do it, it's not just about him, it's his General Assembly in New York. It's the idea, and then we would know that it's those people who are Democrats who are in the way, and they need to be voted out the next time. What does that say about big money, in your opinion? What does that say about
I
endorsement?
mean, it says that to me, it says there's more power with the people, right? All of this gauntlet, this constant barrage of Islamophobia, this constant barrage of anti-Semitism, this,
The invocation of it.
yeah. And so, and they lost, and he lost big. He lost twice. The Cuomo
Bigly.
lost
They
twice.
lost
Like,
bigly.
so it's stupid. I think it took the mask off. I mean, the mask has been off in terms of like
Off.
a lot of these establishment Democrats, these moderate Democrats. And somebody said, like, I mean, they said, who's the future of the Democratic Party? Is it Abigail Spanberger, Mike Sherrill? Is it Zoran Mamdani? I mean, some people, if you want to truly be a big tent party, then yeah, maybe the future is different types of Democrats in different types of areas. I mean, New York is a very progressive, diverse place. Virginia, I wouldn't say that those would be people I would put into office in New York, but or would be my cup of tea necessarily. But you can't just sit there and say like, oh, okay, like no, that's just the outlier when all of the energy is behind them. I mean, we're in a red county with Democrats in a red county, and every Democrat I know, for the most part, was pretty much down for Zoran Madani. The ones that I saw that weren't were the ones that
Crazy Zionists.
feel like, yeah, any criticism of Israel is an attack on the Jewish people, which is absurd.
It's
So
crazy.
And you're in denial if you think that what Israel is doing is
defense.
Defense. Yeah. So, anyways,
but but to that point too, though, like because again, I think as I'm saying it before we start recording, I'm like, at this point, call me a social democrat, right? Because that's really what Mamdani is. He's not a democratic socialist, even though he calls himself that. Like, because he's not a communist nor a socialist. He's what we consider like a classic social democrat. Right. Basically, he wants to use our tax dollars to fund social programs which help the society. Now, nothing about that is socialist. Nothing about that is communist, unfortunately. Right. So I think there's a certain level of like this right-wing fervor of people who are quick to kind of diminish everything. In fact, I got into it with someone. I'm sure you've heard this refrain after the Mamdani win, where they're like, "Well, that I think you kind of just alluded to it." They're like, "That's just New York City. New York City is this burgeoning, super liberal place." And I said, "Well, hold on a second." This guy I went to college with, North Carolina A&T. I said, "Well, hold on a second. The last mayors of New York City were Eric Adams, cop, corrupt as fuck, right wing, was a Republican. Before him, Bill de Blasio, milk toast, squish. He did get universal pre-K, which is good, but like a lot of other stuff, he kind of was out to lunch. Before him, you had Mayor Bloomberg, who was an independent, was a Republican, then was a Democrat, then was an independent again, right? Like billionaire, seeped money into Andrew Cuomo's campaign, right? Before him, it was Rudy fucking Giuliani. So when people are saying this, these are talking points from the Democratic establishment, from the DNC, to try to marginalize Zoran. Like, no, that's crazy. It's like, again, New York City has a pretty, dare I say, right-wing shift towards its mayors. Right, these are not progressive people. Everybody just named isn't like some bleeding edge liberal.
Yeah. So New York showed up, and I think just the energy. I think it's a good example, case study on how to run a campaign. I mean, just the way that you can pivot all of these bullshit questions and turn them back into. It's really something to be studied. I mean, even myself, or if you're whether you're debating somebody or you're trying to enlighten somebody, I mean, it's masterful and it's a skill. I mean, it's not something that comes naturally to most people. And so
Because
I mean,
we're human. You get upset. You get knocked off your center when someone's
Cuomo constantly
constantly
just arguing,
Mamdani,
calling people
Mamdani.
names, and throwing out the Molotov cocktails with Islamophobia. Well, people say this and like it.
And then as black men who have voted Democrat, what did we
Mhm,
see over the past month? I mean, the amount of 9/11 memes I was seeing from not only the right wing but also Democrats.
mhm.
The
Yeah,
bipartisan racism, which we've been talking about for a long time, is there that we keep being told no, that someone else is not me. Dude, it was like you can't hide from it no more. It's to your point about the veil being dropped.
yeah. There was nothing extreme about the things he was saying. I mean, the things that he was saying were radically for the people.
Right.
It's like, well, what and people have to ask themselves, like, what do you expect of the government? Like, what do you pay
That's right.
taxes for? Like, do you really pay for it just to like fund the military? Do
And the
you
fund
really
billionaire
pay for
tax
it to
cuts.
fund the billionaires, or would you rather see your neighbor and your friend, or somebody who's going through tough times have a safety net? And you told me that 5 out of 100 people are gaming the system. So I'm not going to say
Okay,
fuck the other 95 people. I'm going to say, well, that we're going to accept that. If you want to go after those 5%, that
I'll
5%,
go for it.
then go for it. Like, go find the fraud, but it's not enough to outweigh the benefits, right? And so this is what people, and they've programmed people to be just not caring for one another, and these people call themselves Christians, and
Well,
it's mostly the people that call themselves Christians that be the ones that are
yeah.
like, don't feed these people, like they don't deserve these welfare benefits, and they're not having jobs. And really ask the question, like, why are so many people on SNAP who have full-time jobs, sometimes multiple jobs? Why are so many people on SNAP working for Walmart and Amazon?
That's
Like,
right.
why are we subsidizing these companies that have these astronomical profits with the richest CEOs in the world? Why are we
That's right.
asking those questions?
That's
Like,
right.
what we should be asking, like, why are so many people are? That's a good question. They
Hmm.
bring that up. Republicans like to say, why are so many people on SNAP?
Mm,
I
mm.
mean, and then we got to pay for growth, all this inflation, higher groceries, the minimum wages stayed the same. Why are we, you know what I'm saying? So it just doesn't
No,
add up, and
that's a
people are
good.
so distracted.
You made a good point there with those two examples. I mean, I think with Walmart and Amazon alone, the Walton family, their collective money is so much that they will never be broke again, right? And the fact that they have 60% of their people on payroll being needing assistance or Section 8 housing, while they can buy another yacht. And someone like a Jeff Bezos, if you think, and I think about through like the phrase of economics and infrastructure, right? No one uses our infrastructure more than someone like Jeff Bezos, right? His Amazon vans, his warehouses, people's personal cars. I'm sure we've seen Amazon drivers just using their personal cars, dropping stuff off. And he doesn't want to pay taxes back. And then on top of that, we are subsidizing the food and security of the people that he quote unquote employs. It's slave labor,
Mhm.
right? And if we're not looking at it like that, and these right wingers that made these ridiculous videos about SNAP and benefits being cut, like y'all never give a shit. To your point, Rom, y'all never give a shit what happens to our tax dollars until a poor person's brought up. We're giving, the military budget is hitting close to $1 trillion, trillion with a fucking T.
Or a woman, or any minority, a black person,
But right,
a Latino, but like
right.
anything, like if
But
once it's
poor,
brought up, then it's
but
yeah, but
poor has like a stigma to it. So it's like
stigma
poor,
to yeah,
in their mind, poor means black. It means single mom. So all that's kind of incorporated,
right,
right? So I'm kind of
right,
just giving the shorthand of like when they say
sure.
poor. Because again, if you look at these videos that we saw popping up on social media, who was making the videos? You see a bunch of these white people. Now I've seen a few black folks, but I mean, again, there's always going to be some sambos in the crowd. But the vast majority were white folks. That the lady who's eating that piece of toast, she went super viral. And this is what we're saying. Like, you've never gave it a shit what happens to your tax dollars until you hear about someone who's poor. And again, poor meaning black person has some Oreos in their cart. Now all of a sudden your arms are all been like a wavy inflatable, two man.
And then we always talk about how they look through things in a one-dimensional lens. They don't actually. They have Donald Trump talks about groceries. Oh, that's an
It's a
old-fashioned
new
word.
word.
It's
It's
such a
a
oh,
old school
what
word.
what if we have
They
what you
just
call
gave
it?
me this word.
What else?
What is
Have you
this?
ever known another word?
Thank you for handing me this. What does it say? It says groceries. I guess he just made this word up real quick here, guys.
What else do
Groceries.
we?
Wow.
Because somebody's never like stepped in foot of a grocery store, but
What else you got,
we
Bobby?
talked about the food deserts, right? If somebody is poor, struggling, and their nearest store when walking distance is the corner store that doesn't have a lot of options,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, they get junk food, and everyone gets junk food. I'm not criticizing people who on Snap who get junk food, right? But
No, absolutely not.
they actually, if you don't actually have access to it, that means you have to get public transportation. That it's expensive being poor. You got to get
That's what
public
James Baldwin
transportation.
said.
You got to go to another store. You got to pay for the public transportation. You got to come back. You take twice as long, three times as long, four, whatever it may be, or you're walking, right, to get these groceries. You got as many as you can take, right? You can't get a trunk full of groceries.
What if
You
it's
can't get enough
raining,
for more than two
snowing?
weeks. Yeah. And you do this with a full time job, multiple
Mm-hmm.
full time jobs. You're
Got
feeding your family,
kids.
you're cooking. All that adds up, and it's like these people are callous. They don't care. They would never even think about putting their mind in those shoes, and they're it's just a perspective that they don't want to have.
They don't want to have it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tonight, I mean, what do we got? So the Democrats have caved on the Democratic shutdown. So
So
it
it's
was the
grand
40
opening,
days.
grand closing, just that fast. Everybody was excited. Democrats are on a wave. We're doing good. And what happened to? I mean, it's supposedly happening, and it sounds like it's getting sewn up. But what's going on?
The Democrats have just there was at least 10 Senate Democrats that are ending or siding with the Republicans to end the Democratic Party shutdown. The 40-day, because if this whole thing was about healthcare and they negotiated some other I forgot to pull up. Let me pull it up. They negotiated, four things, and then they said, "Oh, in December we'll have a vote on extending the healthcare subsidies." Well, if that's you could have did that 40 days ago. So as far as I'm concerned, this is the Democratic shutdown. Like this is all it was, and this was in the midst of 10+% wins across the board in major elections. Georgia wins, Mississippi wins,
Prop 50.
all kinds of wins across the country. I mean, even here in Charlotte, a sweep. I mean,
That's right.
if that's not a referendum, that's a mandate. That's what a mandate looks
That's
like.
a mandate.
And so then,
That's a mandate.
And then you had the polls, Trump sinking in the polls. You had people starting to fill in the gap. You had people who were ready to, the November 25th. You had all of these things. You had you had it all. Yeah, I mean, you had like the perfect storm. You had Trump actually becoming scared.
The story, right?
Starting to flail. Start throwing out these wild things, and you had. It just doesn't make sense to me that like this is you're basically saying. And here's the thing: anything that's in this list of whatever they're putting in this bill.
Mm-hmm. It's a continuing resolution.
Yeah, until January. We're going to be right. We've been here like for every.
We'll be here in 8 weeks.
So here's, which is ridiculous.
If not in a worse position in 8 weeks.
Here's the thing: didn't Trump just go through with Doge and just basically renege every single everything that was funded by Congress already, like that they wanted to? So why wouldn't he do it again? Didn't they just pull it back? Didn't Murkowski get some deal on the last time they did this, and they pulled it back afterwards and just reneged it? So she didn't even get what she wanted.
What's also more important as we talk about like the lawlessness of all this is that there's the 1974 Empowerment Act. It was done after Richard Nixon when he was basically trying to stop funds and reappropriate funds that were supposed to go to stuff that Congress had already allocated to, right? So basically, the way our government should work, there should be co-equal branches of government. Congress has the power of the purse, right? They say this is where these things should go. Senate effectuates that, and the president takes care to execute on our laws, right? So Nixon was trying to say this money that was going to other places, I do not want it to go there. I want to basically move that around. Trump is now, I mean, he's been in breach of the law since he came into office. So just by the law itself, him trying to stop funds himself and the Republican Congress conceding any sort of ground they have to do their job or have the power in their job this is extremely lawless, right? So when we're looking at how they're trying to, get leverage, and Democrats are falling for it, instead of being like, this is fucking illegal of what they're doing, and they need to and have a unified front with that. I don't understand, what the outcome is here. And now I will say this too: is like, if Zoran Mamdani was a senator, he would do this shit. If we had 48 Zoran Mamdanis and 2 Chuck Schumers, there would be 48 Democrats saying no and 2 Democrats saying yes. I'm just saying, as we talk about the fight that we're in, not the fight that we want to be or the fight that we used to be. We are in the fight that we're in. And we need these Democrats. What's the point of having Republicans when you got corporate Democrats like this? What's the point?
Yeah. So, and then, I mean, here's the thing. Americans are hurting. The federal government shut down. They're not getting paid. People aren't getting their benefits.
The
And
military's
so,
not getting paid.
yeah. And here's the thing: is like, okay, well, you want to make sure that those people are getting taken care of. And this is what this is a stopgap, a temporary relief. But what will happen over time is that in a short, even not even that long period of time, these people will continue to hurt more and more. It's going to
Exactly.
be it's going to be a slow burn. I don't want to just like say that this was an opportunity as if people aren't going to get hurt and struggle.
People were already hurt prior to all this.
Exactly, people are getting hurt, and then this is the same Republican administration that is snatching people off the streets.
Come on.
American citizens. These are people getting beaten, brutalized. These neighborhoods, you turning communities upside down, just putting military and police everywhere. These are kids out trick or treating. Teachers getting yanked out of daycare in front of kids.
My God.
I mean, it's only going to get the idea that this compromise or whatever you want to call it is going to be some long-term solution. It's not. It just gives them more leeway to basically finish Project 2025.
Right. Which is at 48% complete. And people are
Right.
they're over it. Like, I think people are over the, again, I said earlier, the kayfabe, the WWE. Oh, mankind doesn't like The Rock, and they're fighting. But then you see behind the scenes, they're behind, the curtains, they're sharing a beer and they're talking. But when they're on, the mat, they hate each other. This kayfabe shit is, people are sick of this. My people across the aisle, I am hungry today. I cannot wait until 2-3 weeks, 8 months to eat again, until you and your friend in your Brooks Brothers suit that's been perfectly tailored can figure out when you want to give me money, even though I'm working for these people that are also lining your pockets, your corporation, your ballrooms. And I have to sit here and suffer, and then I have to listen on television of why I am the bad person, why I am the lazy person, why I am somebody who does not deserve. This is a sickness. And one thing I love, and I hear all the time, every once in a while, someone like they'll say something like, "Oh, France, they're protesting the right way. They're doing it the right way." The reason this has been so successful in this country, because the Republican Party, with assistance of the Democratic Party, by not providing a resistance to them, they've done such a good job at indoctrinating the American public to hate social programs. Right? France is like, what you mean? I can't get access to my free healthcare. What do you mean I can't get access to this? I pay taxes for this shit. We'll turn this bitch upside fucking down. Are you gonna raise my retirement from 62 to 64? Are y'all out y'all fucking minds? But here we're like, yeah, you deserve to work till you're 88. Like, they've done such a great job, and they've leveraged classism, racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, xenophobia. They have weaponized it. And this is why I tell my fellow quote unquote allies, if you hold any of those, because I deal with a lot of Black religious folks, and they're like, oh, I'm against the racism, I'm against xenophobia, but they hold on to the homophobia. That is their inroads to you. That is how they get to you. And once you start to understand that, and then you let this lawless man who tried to overthrow the damn government on January 6th, you're going to trust him? The motherfucker who's falling asleep in meetings, you're going to trust him to get people health care? He lied to you about election. That means he's going to tell you the truth about your benefits? And this is why we're at a point where Democrats, we're going to fight for the subsidies. We're going to fight for the ACA. The ACA is insufficient. It's exposed. We're fighting for a yesteryear that was already meager and insufficient. Y'all got to fight for Medicare for all, healthcare for all. Call it what you want. We have to fight for we're the only developed nation that does not have universal healthcare. And all these Democratic, I mean, they asked these Democrat like Kathy Hochul and some of these other kind of moderate. Hakeem Jeffries was recently asked by the digital content creator symposium they had, and they said, and one of the people said like, "Hey, I just had knee surgery." She's a young lady; she's probably in her mid-20s. It cost me $7,000, and I can't afford the blah blah. Why are you not fighting for Medicare for all? Of course, we get the metronome Hakeem. I'm Hakeem Jeffries, but let me tell you what, I personally stand for Medicare for all, but no bills have been introduced, which was a lie because in March of this year, there was a bill that was introduced. So this is what we're talking about is the double speak. This is what we're talking about when people are saying we're pissed off. And then this is what y'all do when y'all have power. You cave for no fucking reason.
Yeah, it was, I don't really know what happened. Like what happened between Tuesday and today. I mean, Trump had another Great Gatsby type party extravaganza. Like what, I mean, look, I get like, so I guess they grounded planes Friday. Trump did, they grounded planes.
Oh, scruffy Sean Duffy.
People are hurting. It does get exponentially worse every day goes by. But it's just, we're going to be back here in January. And I guess like, so look,
this country doesn't even understand why they don't want the shit they need. And that is a big problem of all of this.
What about the idea that Adelita Grijalva
is still not sworn in after 50 days?
So if they're going back, so they're going to have to, House is going to have to vote on what is presumably Senate is poised to pass tonight. The House, I assume, will come back into session tomorrow magically. And then, I mean, are they just going to vote on this and go home? Because that's what I suspect would happen. What are they like? They're going home for the holidays, so we're coming up on Thanksgiving.
Sure, but you know what though, man? Like, and this thing is the important of our show. I think a lot of people know the shit that we're talking about, but like, what I like to talk about is like the fucking why of all of this. Like, the why is crazy to me. Like, this is an administration that will let people starve, not get access to health care, not pay TSA agents, not make sure that the military is paid, just so they can't swear in Adelita Grijalva because she'll be the 218th vote to release the Jeffrey Epstein files. This is how much Moses MAGA Mike Johnson, the MAGA Muppet, who looks like one of those Jim Henson puppets, rubber ducky, he is that dedicated and loyal, a manservant to this aging, dying, rotting pumpkin who farts and shits on himself, Donald Trump, because he doesn't want him to be released on the Epstein file. And that came out this week. There's a DOJ leak that said that the Epstein files are actually much, much, much worse for Donald Trump than we already even think. So the fact that we're talking about Thanksgiving, Christmas, people eat, it is because of pedophile protection.
Yeah,
it's crazy. And that's a sickness, man.
Yeah, I mean, even Mike Johnson, he said this week that if Democrats win the midterms, then Trump will be impeached. I think somebody said they'll probably go to jail. Steve Bannon will go to jail. Well, no, I mean, here's the thing. To your point, like, they have to maintain control, otherwise they do go to jail. So whether it's Epstein or, I mean,
is anybody running
maybe
on
not
that?
Trump?
Maybe have you heard any Democrats say that we're going to impeach Donald Trump if we win the House? Have you heard any candidates?
I don't think they're. I don't know about the impeach, but I know about a lot of these people will
investigate.
But that's only if. So up until the way that I looked at this, my perspective changed today because it's like Mike Johnson has been saying all these things. It's the Democratic shutdown, Democratic shutdown. Lying about this, lying about that, and then people went out to the polls and they're not buying it.
Right.
Their own Republicans are some of the Republicans are there's a fracture. Um, so,
But what's the point?
it,
You know what I mean? Like that's my whole thing. Like, what's the point, bro? Like, if y'all are gonna be milk toast jelly spine mofos like this, are you gonna do
yeah,
anything?
yeah. Well, here's what we know. What we knew before is that the Democrats were never going to come and save us, right? Like the people gave Democrats a lifeline. I mean, then the Democrats basically not even a lifeline. The people basically said, like, this is what we want and this is what we don't want. The best way they could. No, they showed up November 4th, and now the Democrats have basically taken that and thrown
Then wipe your
Trump,
ass with it.
Republicans, and gave them a lifeline.
Yep.
So here, you're good.
You
Don't
know,
worry about it.
there's the if a genie were to give Democrats 3 wishes, they would argue it down to 1 and then vote for what the Republicans would want. And that's what we're seeing. And I posted that a couple weeks ago on my Facebook, and then people had said, but like, it actually came true. I mean, or ostensibly is coming true either today or tomorrow, whatever the case may be. Again, if a genie gave the corporate Democrats 3 wishes, whatever you guys want, they would somehow negotiate that genie down to 1 wish. And then with that 1 wish, choose to vote for what they believe the Republican Party wants. And the last thing I'm gonna say on this, and then we may move on, or we can talk about whatever the case may be, is that this isn't the problem with moderation. This is the problem with moderation. I've not been a moderate probably ever in my life, and I probably didn't consider myself radical or consider myself anything like that. But this, in this current area, probably the past decade, this is the problem with moderation. Why do I say this? And I had to explain this to somebody a couple of days ago. When one party does not want anything from the government besides to hurt people, that's all they want. They don't want anything besides to hurt people, and they're moving further to the right, which is the Republican organization. When you moderate towards people who don't want anything, you then become someone who does not want anything yourself. Does that make sense? Like
Mhm.
when you're moderating towards people that don't want anything, you don't want anything. So now we have all these hollow people in suits, as you call him. He's going through his Michael Jackson situation. Hakeem Jeffries, he's getting lighter and lighter every time we see him. Brother, like he's getting anemic out there. Brother, like he needs some calcium and riboflavin up in his blood. He needs, because he's low iron, low T, if you will. These guys, they're just word salad. Well, let me tell you why the Democrats are the best, and Chuck Schumer's out there, but we're gonna win.
Yeah.
Hey,
I mean, I think you're right, and this is a great exhibit into how that's transpired here. Is that they basically dismantled the government. They're dismantling healthcare. They've fired all these people. They've done the reduction of force. They stopped funding SNAP. They have just done all these things. So what this compromise is like, please stop all that. Please stop the bleeding. Stop the reductions in force. Please give jobs back. Please, and so the only thing that they actually stood for, they buckled on. So there is no they actually have
no
nothing
leverage.
that they didn't actually get anything. They just basically said, please just reverse what you just did. And we're
It's
going to take your
pathetic.
word for it. We're going to take your word for it. And
It's
and
pathetic.
please just promise you'll vote for it in December. And then so we could get you on
Pinky
the record.
promise.
We don't expect you to actually expect you to pass it, but we just want to get you on the record. Oh, okay. They're
We
not
got
stupid.
you.
They're not stupid. So and this is this is a guy who went to Trump, who went to the Supreme Court to stop SNAP from getting funded with
Stop, can we
emergency
not
funds.
feed the hungry children,
Oh my
please?
gosh!
And the disabled and the veterans, can we not feed them, please? Thank you.
So yeah, so that's my hope kind of went out the window. I kind of tonight just kind of I
But shout
hope is a
out to some of these Democratic governors, like the J.B. Priskers, the Josh Shapiros, and some of these folks that are like, look, I can't change SNAP across the country, and that does suck. But people who are like, I'm going to use my power to at least help the people that I can, and that's what it.
Yeah.
And so, and to go back into cultural issues, I'm sure some folks that were out there, they went to church and they're Pastor Steve Furtick and Elevation, all this crap, were they taking up food for these people who are impacted? Now they'll take your tithe money, but will they use all their mega churches and they're flying in private jets and their Escalades and their big old homes? Are they opening their home? Are they using their churches to give shelter to the poor? Are they using their largesse to subsidize some of the downtrodden? Because that's what Jesus said. Or is it the institution they're standing for?
Yeah. I got a question. Do y'all think a third party will arise from the increased realization that both parties are bought and sold by billionaires? I think it's very similar to like how Trump Tea Party, kind of overtook the Republican Party, but in a much different platform. I think that Mamdani is an example of how people are probably more aligned with, Democratic Socialist platform than they are with the Democrat. I mean, if you went to the Democratic Party website, I'm not even sure you could tell what the platform is.
No.
Here. But it's pretty clear when you look at like when you look at like
let's see what it looks like.
What is the Working Families Party, the Democratic Socialist Party. I mean, if you look at the Working People's Party, the Working Families
PSL.
Party, they have a really good platform last time I checked. But so I think there's opportunity to keep fracturing the Democratic Party, but part of me is like, it would actually be better to splinter off into a strong third party. So let's see.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is though, the thing that the Democratic Party's been good at for decades now is co-opting, progressive liberal, progressive rhetoric, right? Or progressive movements. They
want to donate,
and of course that pops up first. Please give me that $2. What they want to do is, this is the whole Nancy Pelosi taking a knee wearing kente cloth. Like, we're not actually going to advocate for a Voting Rights Act bill and then stand on that tooth and nail, not move the government until we get a Voting Rights Act bill that covers everybody top and down, no matter where you are. We're going to make it easy for the vote. This is still a country that doesn't have a holiday to vote. The Democratic Party is not serious. They are not serious.
2024.
I'm glad that's still up from last year. Thanks. So
yeah,
so
this is 2024. It's a 92-page document.
Nice.
So
build the wall. That's all they need.
Rewarding work, not wealth. Growing the economy, bottom up, middle out. Lowering costs.
That's that Biden shit.
Tackling the climate crisis, protecting communities, and tackling the surge of I don't know. Let's see if they have anything else that's a little bit more succinct. Something that the people can actually read. Nope. No one's gonna read that 92 page. I'm not gonna read that 92 page. I mean, I'm familiar with it, but I'm like, I don't remember what.
It's not, but it wasn't worth a damn. It didn't get you excited. It didn't get you. The thing about voting is you got to turn people on to turn them out, and the Democrats are not trying to turn people on. They're just trying to turn people out. And what I would ask, I know we're looking through the DSA stuff. What is Democrat socialism? For folks that are listening in, he's looking for. But Simone Sanders, who worked in the Joe Biden White House and worked on the Kamala Harris campaign, I believe, and before that worked on the Bernie Sanders campaign. Before all this, got her feet wet in the water. So she kind of went from more progressive to more moderate, bosses, if you will. And then now I was working for MSNBC, which is a neoliberal, neoconservative rag. She posted a video tonight that maybe we could play that I thought was very clarifying for me.
Who did?
Simone Sanders.
Simone Sanders from MSNBC.
If we can maybe pull her up, because that clip, I think, really, because so many people are so afraid to want something better. And in Zoran Mamdani's victory speech, he talked about that. He said that people are very afraid to step out of the darkness to walk into the light of change. And he said, my fellow New Yorkers, please embrace this moment to walk into the light, to walk forward into a vision that embodies all of us here in America. But Simone Sanders, I think it's a video of her sitting in her car. It's very recent. But if you listen to who she says was right at the end of the day, And this is important because she's going on CNN. She went to Crooked Con in DC. She is on MSNBC with Michael Steele and what's that girl whose daddy went to jail? Um, from the guy from he was the is he a senator
Went to jail for
from New
Jersey, Bernie
Mendez,
Mendez.
Alicia Mendez. So again, her father is a crooked Democrat, right? And then there's I think it's just those three. But the fact that she said who was right with this moderation and all this, well, we got to play it safe because we're told this by people who do not have as much at stake as you do, listener. Yeah, that's the clip right there. Yeah, play that. I thought it was very, very interesting take.
This whole affordability conversation we're having right now about the affordability crisis, it is actually the exact same conversation we were having in 2020 and 2021 about the care economy. Remember, it was supposed to be the second half of Build Back Better? And I was one of the people that was like, I don't think people understand what Build Back Better is by 2022, 23. Like, we got to ditch the Build Back Better because they don't understand what it is. Okay, I was there. The second part of Build Back Better was actually aimed at the exact same pain points that the people are talking about today. Talking about child care that costs as much as rent, the rent being too high, elder care nobody can afford, prescription drug prices, no paid leave, again, housing that just keeps climbing. That is affordability. But that's not what we were saying at the time. We were calling it the care economy. And a lot of very, very smart people, economic voices at the White House, and frankly, outside of the White House as well, they said, well, do the bipartisan infrastructure deal first. Do the roads and bridges. The care stuff is going to come next. The members of Congress who said, no, we shouldn't separate that. We should not pass the infrastructure without the care economy. A lot of progressive members of Congress, and they held their votes. I remember the president and vice president. I worked at the White House at the time in 2021. They were literally phone banking these progressive members, demanding their votes. It's crazy because, to be honest, they were right about the care economy pieces. Maybe if we had invested in legislation lowering everyday costs back then, maybe we wouldn't be right here right now. Matter of fact, I know we wouldn't, because whoever the Democratic nominee was on the ballot in 2024 would have won, because the whole election, with a little, white supremacy, racism, fear-mongering sprinkled in, but like the underpinning of how people were feeling in this country, like they weren't feeling good because of the affordability crisis, which was really just the care economy by another name. So basically, we are relitigating 2021 in real time. Crazy.
Interesting. So when people are like, I'm a moderate, I'm like, you're arguing again for the moderation towards nothing. And it's okay to stand on people deserve our tax dollars to go towards these things that are life affirming. And the fact that Joe Manchin, Kirsten Sinema, and some of these other centrist Dems in the House were so adamant about separating it and then running a campaign. I remember that because it was the squad that was against it. She didn't want to get names. The squad was against it. They withheld their votes. Jabal Bowen, AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Pramila Jayapal, so on and so forth. If you just listen to one, people of color, let me just be honest, Black people and people of color, y'all will be okay. Two, stop listening to these white people. I'm sorry, there's never been a time in American history from the time this Settler Crowan Project was set up to now where the majority of white people were on the right side of history. And it's so infuriating that Mamdani looks like this kind of super liberal progressive star. And that, mind you, this was in the Build Back Better bill under Joseph Robinette Biden Jr.
Well, here we go again. Here we go again. I know. I think it's a good point. I mean,
it's crazy.
I had forgot. I mean, and this is the thing: is like, I think we get complacent as Democrats, as me, like as a citizen who. So, like when Obama became president, I feel like we got comfortable.
You sure did.
And a Democrat gets president. We get so, and it worries me when Zoran is now elected. Now, are people going to get complacent, or are we going to energize? Is he going to keep people engaged and say, I need you, that I think Obama didn't really do that enough
He shut
to
down
leverage
his
that power.
operation.
But like say like this, I need you. We need
At
to
this
keep this
gate,
going.
right?
You have to hold people elected accountable.
Hold me accountable
Throughout this, not just when we vote in the booth. It's not going to work. It doesn't work that way if you let the people sleep. So I think it is important that people hold these people accountable, whether they're Democrat or Republican. It doesn't matter. You know, so I just want to keep that in mind, is that it isn't just, hey, it's done, somebody won. And a lot of it is you know, and that's the thing about these Republican influencers, right-wing influencers. I mean, they're rabid 24/7. They have the messaging going, the messaging machine going 24/7.
Content.
Yeah, so they don't. There's no letting up. I mean, they're funded by Russians and all kinds of, you know, dark
and
money,
billionaires,
but
and right.
yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
so just keep that in mind. I mean, we got to keep the momentum going.
Got to.
So I ran for mayor, and this past week, I didn't win, and that's okay. I ran 7 days, but I learned a lot.
On Monday,
I learned
took it for a drink.
lot.
On Tuesday,
and I started just kind of have like this top 10 thing that I'm doing about, you know, what I learned.
lessons learned.
Yeah, but you know, and I've started to put that into like post that. I'm trying to find the full list, but anyways, I can. There's a couple I wanted to touch on.
Yeah.
One, I think Tuesday showed that Democrats can run in places that they wouldn't normally be expected to win. And so, two, it also would be that if you want to run or thinking about it, I'm more like open to the idea now, for sure, of like actually running a full campaign that people should do, or that what a respectable campaign should do. Yeah, I don't have the audacity to think that, you know, people I can win in 7 days. But to be able to, I think it's important to set a platform. I think it's important to communicate who you are, to be visible. When I was out there on Tuesday talking to people, they didn't know who the candidates were. They didn't know who was running the ballot. I mean, and in an off-year election, these are people who just show up to vote because it's their civic duty, which means they're engaged. So I was able to talk to almost everyone pretty much everyone I engaged. I was able to talk to them and have conversations. I canvassed, you know, upwards of 1,000 houses. I probably got like 200 answers, maybe like total, like something like that.
It's a very low return.
And even less actually engagement. So people aren't really. Most people don't really want to talk too much. They might hear you out a little bit, but they're not really willing to engage.
That's right.
Outside the voting booth, like outside the polling place, they are very much willing to engage and kind of share their thoughts and, you know, what they think is wrong. And one of the things that stood out to me is that, and what I kind of was talking about a lot, is that these people do not have a way to really reliably say, hey, this is what I care about, or this is going on in my neighborhood. You know, this street is messed up, and they might call, they might send an email, but they don't really know where it goes. They don't know what's going on with this project. They're upset about, too many apartments, road congestion, or whatever. What I see is, I don't see as necessarily like the root cause, but I'm saying that what's not happening is like community engagement, or like taking advantage of how people can communicate with, or how the governments can and should communicate with the people. Because let's be real, like we always talk about, like call your senators, go to the town halls and everything. That's still a very small percentage of people that actually do that, and that might grow a little bit, but no one's going to start going to town halls. No one's going to start writing their mayors, writing their senators, calling. Like that's always going to be a small. It's going to be incremental. But like, how can you actually communicate to the masses where they're at, or how they receive things, the medium that they receive things, whether it's email, whether it's text messages, whether it's social media, whether it's newsletters, whether it's a bulletin board at the rec center? Like, how do you actually effectively communicate and say, like, well, here's what's going on? here's what we're voting, here's what we're talking about this week. What are your thoughts? Like, let's get some feedback from you, or like, how do you think things are going? Or I emailed you this, and what is the status of that project or whatever? And that to me is like that's the reimagining government that we need to be more like visible and communicative with the people, and allow the people to feel like they can be part of something without having to show up to all these meetings. And I mean, I can't even keep up. And so it was a good learning experience. I encourage people to run, especially locally. Like I said, I've always said is that everything's going to roll downhill locally. I think where I was most recently from, in Bloomington, Illinois, they passed something in their city to basically say this $180,000, $200,000 is going to be used to help take care of people who are getting their SNAP benefits. That's how I think a local government should be running. Is like, let's have some funds, let's have a reserve to take care of, well, and even more so now, because we know what's happening, all of these safety nets, because you don't want your community to deteriorate, right? You don't want your neighbor going hungry, your neighbor's kids going hungry, wondering where their next meal is from, right? And so that's how I imagine a local government working, is to step in, fill in the gap. The school board lost 5% of their funding, 10% of their funding from Title One, Title Two. So, you know, how do you fund that, right? The North Carolina General Assembly for the state will not create a budget. If there's no budget for the state, then how do you create a budget for your towns? How do you create a budget for your public schools? So that's how I see where these local elections fit in.
100%, man. And again, kudos to you. It is a noble, Herculean act for you to do, and I want to give you your flowers in front of everybody that Rom put himself out there. He was trick or treating as a black man with a Jason mask on. These ain't safe waters, folks. For big tall black men. But no, I agree. Everything you said, man. Like, making government consumable, making the political process accessible. Really, honestly, trying to correct the failures of our civics education in this country. A lot of people don't even know how they're impacted. When people say things like, I don't get into politics, what they're really saying is that, like, I either don't know enough or I'm privileged enough that I don't have to know. And your initial point you were making about that people don't have a place to really vent their grievances or address what's happening with the government, what's happening to them, politics is being done on them, not something they are engaging with. That there's a loss of third spaces, right? Especially in an area like this where people are very isolated. It's easy to be afraid in an area like this because this place doesn't have a lot of places for people to meet and greet and talk. And if you do, it's like you're looking over your shoulder. I'm a Democrat, but I can't. And then, like, you'll never get to democratic socialist or a social democrat again. What someone like Zoran Mamdani truly is, a social democrat, basically using our tax dollars to subsidize and fund the things that keep all of us afloat and having a prosperous, fulsome life. You can't even get there if you're too afraid to even just say the word Democrat. In places like this, it's very brave for someone like yourself to step out there because no one else is doing it. And if you don't mind, I'm going to give a quick. This happened after you ran. I got a phone call the next day or so after the election. I won't say who it was from. And after the election, someone knew that clearly we have a show together. And the question was, why did you do that? That was the question. Why did he do that? Why did Ron do that? I was confused, to be honest. I was like, did he post something online? Did have something happen? Why would he run? Why would he run and not actively run a campaign? And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, to be honest, I think it's a perfect opportunity anytime for people to step up. One was calling us to step into the breach, to use our platform, to use our power, to use our privileges to help the greater good of people. And like, yeah, could have been better at more than 7 weeks, 7 days, sure. But in those 7 days, you covered a lot of ground. Dare I say, you got a quarter of the vote that either did not like Scholl, was it Scholl or Skoll? What's his name?
Scholl.
Scholl.
David Scholl.
Didn't like Scholl, or they wanted something completely different from even they might not have voted, right? So now, once people vote, they usually become voters long term, right? It becomes habitual. So I'm like, this, especially in a county like this, where there is this learned helplessness, there is this people Republicans walk around like they're not a bunch of ignorant, thumb-headed white men that are just red in the face and just we want what we won't, take everything away, right? Like it's okay, but you know what? Look, I might fucking lose. And my wife did this. When my wife ran last year, she got 47,000 votes in this county. 47,000 votes across the county. Was it enough to take her over the line? No. But that's 47,000 people. There, and for you, was it 217, right?
It was 100. It was 100 and like
97, right?
40 or something. Like there was 197 right in, 140 were mine. But
Oh, is that okay? Okay.
yeah,
Well,
we
but it's to that point. 100, almost 200 people don't want what the status quo is offering. That is a building platform. But the thing is, we have to have an affirmative vision, not just this. Well, we're going to keep the roads together. And we're going to make sure the growth is. Offer people something. People don't even,
Yeah.
again, to my point earlier, people don't even know what they don't want, or people don't know what they want, right? And that is also a part of a long indoctrination to keep us distracted, siloed, and keeping our eye off the ball.
Yeah, I
But
think
kudos to you, Ron.
thank you. I do think that there is a merit to now. I do think there's a merit to running or having a Democrat on the ticket to keep that, like you said, to have that engagement going, that affirmative platform, saying like in that alternative option, because otherwise, I think people just kind of like. I mean, there was people who came up to me and they're like, "I'm so glad there's another option." And I'm so glad you're out here. And there was people who I said, you're voting for mayor. He said, yeah. He's like, well, I was like, do I have a minute to change your mind? He's like, well, I'm voting for you. I was like, oh shit, And so, but like, it is that people do look for that, and these conversations I think are good to have.
And we can't be afraid when we're offering that to them, right? We can't be like,
yeah. I saw this as one of the better opportunities to have these conversations. Like again, I've been in spaces, and I don't really know. It's hard for me to think of another good opportunity to have these types of conversations. Honestly,
right?
Like it was almost like a gold mine of data. I mean, it was of like talking to people, hearing the feedback from both sides. Right? People were willing to talk. And say, one woman's, I hate socialism and what's happened. I was like, well, what is socialism to you? Like, and whatever's happening in New York. And I was like, well, what do you think is happening? And it's like, okay. But like figuring out, like, I think figuring out how to like hold the mirror up to these people and kind of just be like, well, kind of ask the questions, kind of makes them think. Honestly, and you can't really, again, you can, I think that you could sit out. I think if you had enough people at the poll greetings, in a small, definitely an off-year election, I think I could have probably.
Well,
I think that you can engage with all these people and they have these conversations because they're like, who's running? Like there was people out there that was like, I'm just here to vote because I'm supposed to do it. There was people out here that was like, what? That's all that was on the ballot? Like that's all we were here voting for?
Well, I mean, yeah, no, I think you're putting it right. I think is that if you had to leverage off of Zoran Kwame Mamdani, and even to Trisha's comment here, agreed. This has to be face to face, more civic engagement and conversations rather than attacks. People have grown complacent and don't know how their local government affects them. Absolutely right, Trisha. 100%. Kudos. Click, 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 click. Great job, sis. But to your point, to add on to Trisha's point about Zoran, he had 100,000 people that signed up to do his door knocking, to do his campaigning. Like to your point, if you had people stationed at places, and we've said this before, if the Democratic Party, writ large, or social democrats, those of us who want change, what you have to offer people is you have to inspire your base, who will then turn on the disaffected middle. But what's been happening for so long, the Democratic Party, writ large, the corporate Democrats have been diluting their message to try to appeal to that middle, right?
Yeah.
So if they don't actually do what's right for their people, they'll never turn the people on. Because if you got your 22-year-old daughter home from college and she's like, dude, this dude Ron Sandoval, I'm running through a wall for this fucking guy for the mayor of Stallings. He's a write-in. But I love that she's talking about mom and dad. You will love it. Now, their parents who would probably vote for David Scholl, they're like, okay, well, shit. Well, maybe this Rom guy is somebody I need to vote for. So it is about pressing the flesh. It is about bending some shoe leather. And it's about looking people in the eye.
Yeah, and he had to put some of his people out there. David Shaw ran into one of his friends who used to be on the school board over a decade ago. Forgot his name, but we had a conversation. We had a conversation, and some people were coming up, and we were both kind of like, hey, you guys are getting along well. It's like, well, I mean, like, what do you think? Like, I don't like even if he is this rabid like MAGA person, like a lot of these people are. I'm not saying he is, but a lot of these people are cowards.
Yeah.
Like when you're actually come face to face, like, to actually have a conversation, like, no, get online and, but yeah, I mean, like, no, like, I mean, I can engage civilly. And, he's like, well, who do you know, at the Union County Board of Commissioners? And I said, well, I don't know anyone, because you got to know somebody to get things done. I said, well, isn't that the problem?
Right.
Like, and I said, well, like Republicans, I mean, you got y'all fighting right now between the Union County Public Schools, the Union County Board of Commissioners, and the North Carolina General Assembly because of funding that was promised, yanked away, pulled back and forth. Y'all can't have a budget. Like, so I don't know, man. I mean, you tell me. So yeah, that was my experience. It was good stuff. I enjoyed it. I'm more open to running again in the future. I just don't know where I would run.
Awesome.
I also feel like I could help multiple campaigns and get them in rather than
you're invaluable now to Union County. Like with that 7-day campaign, you're invaluable to the future of progressive politics in Union County. Understood.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah, thank you. Pay me.
Yes. This is not a free endeavor, people.
But yeah, Trisha just pointed out that the Senate Democrats have went ahead and reached a deal, or AKA cave. They are coalescing around a bipartisan on the agreement.
We won't rest. We won't rest.
And then I'm sure we're going
to have a list of names.
Well, it says at least here, Jean Shaheen, Angus King, Maggie Hassan. And so Trump's going to be breaking out his
champagne, baby.
He's gonna be calling Democrats all kinds of names still.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He's saying the Democratic shutdown, and he wouldn't be wrong. And I know Dick Durbin's on there, disappointing from Illinois.
Dickie Derbs.
Tammy Baldwin, who also used to be from Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
She's now in Wisconsin. So I haven't read this, but I'm sure that they didn't really get anything out of it. I think it's also highly significant. We'll have a 3-year appropriations bill attached. Oh my God.
Yeah. Again, why do you need Republicans when you have Democrats like this? Why? What's the point?
Thune is promising Democrats a vote in mid-December to extend the Affordable Care Act. How much do you want to? I mean, like,
again, going back to
do you actually think they'll have this vote?
Again, this is why we talk through. It's not just ink on paper and R&Ds. We are talking about this from I'm not from this like astral level, but from a morality, a spiritual level. This man is in lockstep with a pedophile, like a literal pedophile, Donald Trump. And you're telling me you're leaning on the promises and morals of a man like John Thune, who represents a state that is less than 1 million people, that has 2 senators, that is actively waging crimes against humanity on the poorest of this country to do the bidding of a pedophile. And you have Democrats who are in lockstep, the Fettermans of the world, and he can go on about his business, the Hassans, these other, again, what does moderation get you? I mean, we got to be honest about it, because I'm sick and fucking tired of being painted as a crazy radical person by the people who are letting kids starve to protect pedophiles.
Yeah. I mean, exactly.
I'm
And
sick of it. Aren't you sick of this? Are y'all, people who are in the chat, are y'all not sick of this? Until we are sick of it and we keep acting like it's business as normal, politics as normal, nothing will change. And we're sitting here, well, you know, this, that. It's like, look, dude, you're the piece of shit. And Roy Cooper, who's running for Senate for North Carolina, and I'll jump off my soapbox here. If you're offering us more moderation, it ain't gonna go well for you, brother. Because why do I want Republican light when I could just vote Republican?
yeah, I'll look forward to seeing what's in this thing because I'm pretty sure it's all just basically if it's all to stop what Trump is or to reverse the things that Trump has done in the 9 months of office, he's basically he did that. Just he did the art of the deal. He literally put y'all into submission. He literally basically said, I'm going to do all these things, and then I'll negotiate. I might negotiate the terror that I put upon the what?
I said he ain't gonna negotiate none of this.
He already did. I mean, what I'm saying.
What I'm saying though, this was.
What I'm saying is that he did all of this. He did all this. He gave himself a negotiated. He gave himself something to negotiate, and the Democrats basically said, please stop, and then they're like, we just want you to stop. There's just nothing that come out of it. Like that's
because their donors wanted that.
Leverage.
Their donors wanted that. These corporate, again, we got to go
back. And that's fine. That's fine.
Money.
Whoever wanted it.
No. It's not fine because we're trying to then paint it all like Democrat versus Republican. No, this is moneyed interests. Moneyed interest needs things to be up and running. They need poverty. Poverty is very, very profitable. Crime is profitable. And there's people.
What did the reduction in force, firing the federal employees? What did all of that like? Who
benefits from that? People that run prisons, because as we know, if you the concentric circles of when you put the drop in the pond of someone losing a job. In fact, there was a story, I think there was on CNN. There was a black lady talking about she went to go get her eyebrows done, and they had to fire 2 people. And she's like, why? Because the SNAP benefits, they have less foot traffic in to get their eyebrows done. So do you see? It's not just people are going hungry. It's also, look, I may not go hungry, but I got to hold my dollars close to the chest. So it's profitable. So you work backwards from the cruel outcomes. People going to prison, being murdered, all these things. You get to this. So like you're asking how do we get there? Is because if you keep people sick, scared, hungry, uneducated, and armed, those are malleable people. This is why I don't talk about this shit through like, well, the HR3. This is a white supremacist system project that is doing its death cry. I say it all the time. And when they do this, they're leveraging all of us to not know that so we can be at each other's throats.
Yeah.
But we got some good comments here.
It's not just a slow burn. It's just going to be the continued slow burn at this point. Beyond sick of this shit. If caring about and protecting children makes me radical left wing enemy within to sign me up. Yeah.
Let's go. Come on. That's right. That's right.
I mean, we knew they would call us radical.
Call me crazy.
But like, and we,
you want everybody to have equal rights? Even that person should have their rights. Even someone that person should have due process, and that person should have this, that, and the third. Whatever a mediocre white man has, that person should have too. I don't care. Well, what if they're trans Tifa feminazis? They should too. What you got? What you got, big boy? You're afraid. This is all drained pool politics. We ain't gonna have these Negroes up in our pool, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna drain we're gonna fill it all with concrete because we don't want nobody using it. And then what does that do to your point about how does that help? How does draining a pool, how does that financially help people? Then in 1953, you get the nascent emergence of the private pool industry. And now multi-billion-dollar industry, literally rooted in racism. That didn't exist until 1953 when they integrated pools. This is how you get there. So when you're like, how to get there? It's because if you keep people sick, uneducated, vulnerable, stupid, and armed, you can control them, and you can make a lot of money off of them.
Yeah. Now they have more leeway. They can do that now. They have more leash to kind of complete their plan.
But in this time, man, we live in a time where we have more access to more information than our ancestors ever did. My ancestors, they had to figure out how to get off of the concentration camp. They had to use the stars and the drinking gourd, and had to use the Underground Railroad, and had to put crushed glass into Missy's food to get the hell out of there. We have more access to more information, so we got to take that on and say, you know what, I'm gonna do something better for the future.
Yeah. Speaking of which, so they've got the November 25th, 1 week long boycott.
Who organized this? Do we know who organized it?
I don't know. At this point, people are jumping on. At this point, I don't really care.
I do.
It's people, multiple getting the back. Why do you care? I mean,
I care because if it's not one strategic, I saw some of the flyers going around. You want to pull that up, the flyer for it? Yeah. I've seen some of the flyers going around for it, and again, it needs to be who is lining the pockets of the people who are actively taking our rights away, who are actively allowing our children to die, who are actively allowing our neighbors to starve. Those are the people we need to not, because the problem with these boycotts, you need to be loud about it. If people don't know that you're boycotting, they can wait you out a week. They can wait you out. I am boycotting because the Trump administration is leveraging crimes against humanity and starving our people, which is in the Geneva Convention, a crime against humanity, a war crime. I am boycotting X company, and I'm telling people on my Facebook, I'm not comfortable making videos. I'm not comfortable, but it's worth it. Ask yourselves, folks. But people love to say, if you lived during the Civil War, if you lived during Nazi Germany, do you think, I'm going to keep it real, would a King's Day protest stop Hitler? Would a 1 week boycott that is posted on, the bill, would that stop Hitler? What would stop? If there's mass fucking agents picking up toddlers, would a non-strategic, no king / hand, will that stop these motherfuckers from grabbing someone's kid that ain't your kid? That's what I'm saying. We're at that point. We needed this shit, honestly, when Obama was in office, to rally against the solidifying Tea Party members, like the Ted Cruz's of the world, and to say, no, but we've allowed racism, white supremacy to become differences of opinion in this country, versus rhetorical violence that are meted out against the least of us, the weak of us, and the marginalized. And they know that. And if we're not talking through that, because we're talking numbers and cents, and I don't know, my tax law, but you're fine with $1 trillion military budget. You're fine with tax cuts for people. You're fine with tax cuts for. I got into it with a sister. I went to A&T with a sister. She's of the tax bracket of $580,000 to $1 million, and she says, "Perron, I don't think taxing the rich is going to pay for these things. I live in New York City, blah blah blah." And I had to basically dog walk her. Love the sister. I had to dog walk her to let her know how she is reinforcing white supremacy on people that look like us. Of the reason we had to have an HBCU, because we couldn't go to those schools because they wanted us sick, ignorant, in danger, and afraid. That's what they wanted. So we had to take it upon ourselves to create institutions. So we got to stop this it's just a difference of opinion, and the R's doing this, the D's are doing that. No. Is this enough? That's what I'm asking you. And the people, they're willing to do all this shit. King's Day rally, no King's Day rally, hands off, blackout, Cyber Friday, whatever the fuck it is. They would rather do all this shit than apply pressure to their fucking husband. Apply pressure to their daddy. Apply pressure to their boss. Apply pressure to their fucking neighbor. They'd rather do all this symbolic shit. And then we seen the outcome of the most recent election, and they still won't show the fuck up.
Yeah, well, I think at this point, even that is incremental, because it's like there was enough people to shut this down. And like I said, Deontay Cal, that clip this week was like the most energizing thing. But he said, if we shut this shit down, if black and brown folks just stop working for a month, everything was shut down. And he said, you don't even need white people to join in. Like, I think they should, but what you don't have anybody doing anything. Like, the answering.
I
name.
still see
Yeah.
people talking about Christmas.
What did you say? Talking about what?
I still
Christmas.
some people pulling out their crap. I'm like, y'all aren't for real.
Yeah,
You're not ready.
I think, and here's the thing: for general strike, people got to start extra like getting ready, getting their mind mentally ready.
That's
like,
right.
And it takes time. We've been talking about, hey, just stop spending money. I've stopped spending a lot of money.
Me too.
Stop spending a lot.
I mean, for other reasons, but yes,
Target.
me too.
I started spending money at Target,
Right.
and
Amazon.
Amazon, and cut back on like subscriptions. If you have subscriptions to Netflix, you got 5 subscriptions. Find 5 of your friends, divvy it up, share them things. Like,
right.
It's like
that's communism.
That's
communism.
Incremental. I know it's hard to cut out everything all at once.
Absolutely.
But if we did do it for a week, we stopped spending, like, you just spend a single dime for a week, and you went to maybe your mom and pop. You just spent it, like, it kept it. You found some minority-owned toy stores.
That's right.
Whatever the things that it adds up,
and
it might not seem like nothing, but collectively it can add up.
But this is why you must be loud about it.
How do you look at your budgets and figure out what you can cut? Because I know people are wasting money, right?
Absolutely.
Because like it crashed the system, like just crash it.
Crash it.
Because like look at what's happening to the street. Look at what's happening on the streets. People are getting thrown down. Right. People are getting arrested, beaten, thrown in jail, and
for days on end, weeks on end,
lost, shipped over to Africa, shipped to Latin America. Like, these are human beings from their family, and we just like kind of casually just like, okay, well, that's the new normal. So I think people need to start, preparing like ways, and I'm gonna post some things on things.
Boycotts are great, folks. Boycotts are great, but also directing your money, to Ram's point, directing your money to positive things is also a sign of resistance. Okay, so it's not just we're going to do this flyer. I saw something come across and I talked about. No, it's also like I'm going to now, to Ram's point, direct and make it known. That's what scares them. Hey, I'm going to go use this Arab, dry cleaners. I'm going to go use the Chinese spot. I'm going to go to the atheist place. I'm going to go. You start showing that you have solidarity. Oh my God, they will shiver in their timbers.
Yeah. I talked to my daughter, actually both of them, and I said, we're going to probably have a smaller Christmas, and said, we're not going to spend money really. There's going to be a lot of people to help. I just basically said it to stop Trump. She said, well, okay. We can be creative. She's like, we can be creative. And I was like, yeah, we can do a lot of things together. Like, she's like, we can be creative. And she was like, okay. I was a better response than I thought.
That's awesome.
So I mean, she's almost 6 at this point, but like, I felt proud. I was like, Rose, did you hear that?
That's right.
But look, this whole, like, her Christmas last year was extravagant, right? She had all this, like, I was like, okay, that's too much. But like, it is this consumerism. We give them all these things, and it's that's like, right. And it's like, well, kids need to have Christmas this summer. I mean, this winter, especially, kids that don't have small Christmases as is, or no Christmas at all. And have all these toys. And I was like, well, I want you to also pick out, toys that we can, go donate, not necessarily just the ones you're done with, but like ones that you like actively play with, maybe, right? And so I think it's a way to start putting things into a different perspective, like, because if we don't do these things now, it's just going to get harder and harder and harder to dig ourselves out of, and to the point where if you are not part of the has and you are the have-nots, like, the thought of like what the next generation is going to have to go through is frightening.
And to your point about consumerism and how it honestly keeps us, it leads us by the nose. It makes me think about how, like, again, talking about that sister who I was talking to, who I went to A&T with, who was basically saying, I kind of live she wasn't saying that. She was saying, like, I'm very proud, not Andrew Cuomo, because we're talking about the Mamdani thing, but I'm using this as a example of how we can expand this, right? How we expanding our mind, having us think differently. She's like, I am of this class. I just don't see how the dollars are going to do this. And I don't know if socialism will really get us there. And I said, well, hold on now. Capitalism got us to right here. Everything you're seeing, every single positive thing was under capitalism. From the moment those settlers touched the shore to the moment I'm talking to you in my DMs on Instagram was under capitalism. The fear, what does Mamdani say in his acceptance speech? The fear people have of wanting to step out of the shadows to walk into the light of change. And she's now advocating for a system that requires a Donald Trump, that requires a Republican Party, that requires the sadistic nature of government to take from people. What are you arguing for? And as she's sitting there, probably, I mean, I wasn't with her, but I could tell she was coming around like, I never thought of it that way. And are we having those conversations? And again, when I was the chair of the Democratic Party, one thing that I would say, that, and I tell people all the time to give you guys some advice as you're trying to have these conversations with people, right? Your family members, your friends, people who may not think like you, or people who are on their journey, is tell them, it's very disarming, but telling them you deserve better. It's really hard because right now in our politics, people are they, you know, especially Republicans, they believe it's all about the argument. You know, this is why they love Charlie Kirk in their minds. You know,
own the libs,
right? I won today.
I won. What did you win?
I saw a Democrat and I called them a nigger, and I won today. Friend, I am not trying to win an argument. I'm fighting for even you. And guess what? You deserve better. And then they want to fight that. I don't deserve better because it's an inherently contradictory perspective they try to take. Whatever you say, if you say it's up, I got to say it's down. If you say it's black, I got to say it's white. If you guys say it's left, I got to say it's right. So when you tell somebody you deserve better, no, I don't. I mean, we're seeing it. So some people are saying, well, I did vote for this. I voted for this. I lost my farm. I lost my job, and mama's going to lose her leg. But guess what? I voted for this, and I want it. My friend, you will be in a pool of your own tears soon enough. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna fight for you too.
And then people are, I don't need no handouts. I don't need no government help. And then meanwhile, these billionaires are taking advantage of every single
welfare
loophole imaginable. Like, you're right.
Working on a pole.
Yeah, Musk is the most, probably the most funded business in America, and he's got a
I don't know if you saw. He just got a new.
He's got a
new
piece,
He got a new piece.
He got a new Sharpie.
He got a new. It looks like his mom.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's like maybe it's funny to go out. Maybe we got this clip. Pull up Elon Musk on Joe Rogan. It looks like his mom cut his hair. It's that straight line of he has a new hairline, folks. And again, I want to remind you all, this is the richest man on the planet, and he just has time to go sit with Joe Rogan in Texas. And there's the clip on it where he's asking him like how is Zoran Mamdani a shyster?
Giga Chad. That's what people called it.
Where is that guy?
People? I don't know where he is.
That's like a real guy.
The artist? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Giga Chad. Giga Chad. Yeah. I don't know if that's a real guy. It's hard to tell.
There was a clip where he was asking him about Zoran Mamdani. And this is the last one went viral. And he was saying that he said, well, yeah, how was he a swindler?
We'll play that one. We'll play that. I know what you're talking about. We'll play that one. Let me find that one real quick. These people. And
then you know what? Pause. See if you can find this one. This is probably the best one to go out on. Elon Musk tries to tell a joke to Joe Rogan in that same interview. He tries to tell a joke about economists. Find that. And that's worth it. That's worth it. Trust me. Rom, you're gonna be happy that we're going out on this, folks. This is Elon Musk, the richest man in the world. Again, this is a man that has so much money, and I try to explain to people how much $1 billion is. I got my hair done. This is the joke about. Okay.
So the joke is like there's two economists going on a hike in the woods.
Real quick. Sorry. Just to set it up, he is telling a joke. I have to tell you that he's telling a joke because you may not get he's telling a joke. He is telling a joke about two economists and how basically they don't really get things right. That's the premise. But go ahead.
They come across a pile of shit, and one economist says to the other, "I'll pay you $100 to eat that shit." So the economist eats the shit, gets the $100. They keep walking. then the other then I come across another pile of shit, and the other economist says, "Now I'll pay you $100 to eat the pile of shit." So he pays the other economist $100 pile of shit. Then
I love that you can't see Joe Rogan too in this moment because this is his boss, and basically because he's paying him to platform his dumb ass. So he's probably sitting there, what? I gotta go ahead.
And the way they said, look, wait a second, we both just ate a pile of shit, and we don't have any more extra money. Like you just gave the $100 back to me, and we both ate a pile of shit. This doesn't make any sense.
Okay, folks, this is the joke. There was two economists in a forest. One economist tells the other economist, "Hey, if you eat that pile of shit there, I'll give you $100." And so he eats the pile of shit. They're walking again, and they see another pile of shit. And the other economist says, "Hey, I'll give you $100 if you eat that pile of shit." And then he eats it. Then they both stare and look at each other, and they say, "Hey, we both ate a pile of shit, and we just passed the same $100 back and forth." And the other economist says, "Well, guess what? That's $200 into the GDP." That's the joke. That's the joke, and how you just say it without saying, "Well." Play that part again, just where he's like, again, because this is the richest man on the planet.
Second, we both just ate a pile of shit, and we don't have any more extra money. Like you just gave the $100 back to me, and we both ate a pile of shit. This doesn't make any sense.
So when you're having a bad day and you're like, I gotta be rich one day, this is the same man that takes copious amounts of drugs just to feel something. And he's the richest man on the planet. If you want to be that, have at it. I'd rather be with my people. I'd rather have moments. And his kids hate him. His kids don't like him. He finds positivity in people like Donald Trump. People like Stephen Miller. I guess he's fucking his wife too. So, folks, take care of yours. Keep an eye out. Do the knowledge, as they say out there on some of our favorite shows. Expand your mind, expand your heart, and please let this moment break your heart. But when I say break your heart, I mean have it break open, that it never closes again. Thanks for listening to the Radical Roots podcast. I am your co-host, Peyron Baxter.
I'm your co-host, Ram Sandoval. Thank you for joining us. Like, subscribe, follow, share with 5 of your friends, donate, website, all that good stuff. But thank you for joining us once again. And we might see you on Thursday. We might see you on Sunday.
You know how we do.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Be good.